don't fuck up the culture. Company is not a family. A company you can choose, a family you cannot. This is a worldwide problem, honestly. We hired over 500 people in less than a year.
Wow.
Companies, they think that they can throw money at the people and say, okay, you get a salary increase, now be happy, be motivated, and move on. But this is something what is not sustainable for the future. If you're making the calculation of all these factors, a new hire in the knowledge work field could end up with easily 200 to 300,000 dirhams, and you denied the salary increase of 40,000 dirhams. Think about it. Think about it. From an economical perspective, it doesn't make sense at all.
Benjamin Böhmer is a seasoned HR expert and the co-founder of Scaliify. He brings over 15 years of international experience to help scale businesses through outstanding HR by delivering HR as a service, chief HRO support, system integration, and more.
If you have the most amazing product in the world, happy for you, really good, but it won't bring you further if you don't have the right people in your organization. It's not rocket science. You just have to get the things right. I've seen a lot of two-faces in this case. When I've expressed this to leaders, what they say and what they execute is totally different. I personally would always suggest create values for your organization. HR don't give you revenue immediately. Because
exactly, yeah.
It's a cost factor. Human resources. So I personally don't see human beings as resources because we're working with employees, not with kids. This is something what is the absolutely killer of your organization. It's the absolutely killer of the culture.
Did you know that 44% of podcasts stop after episode 3? So that means all that time, energy, and money is just wasted and you never get to truly see the benefits of podcasting. So if you want your show to stay alive and healthy, you can book a call in the link below and let's get started today. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Hope It Helps, and I have a very special guest with me today. Please welcome to the show, Mr. Benjamin Böhmer. Benjamin, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, perfect. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. So Ben, I'd like to give the audience some context of how we met. So we got connected, I think maybe a month ago now on that speed networking event with Founder Connects. Shout out Founder Connects. And we really hit it off. It was really interesting hearing the work you do. I know you're in HR and your experience, been a previous HR director, and now you've got your own company here called Scaliify that you guys are launching to help companies with not only software, but as fractional HR as well. And basically being an additional resource to any HR department, whether they need it or becoming a full HR department for companies. So we got on another call and then we were having like a debate on HR and you were sharing your frustrations. I was sharing mine. It's weird because although I'm not in the space, I've never been in HR, the people aspect is something I'm very passionate about. And it frustrates me so much when I hear about stories, particularly here, and maybe it is in other parts of the world too, so I can't speak, on everywhere else. And it just frustrates me that people don't see it in the right way. I've had so many conversations with people in HR and the top organizations, and they're like, Khaled, everyone's doing it wrong, So what I wanted to do today, Benjamin, is really, first of all, understand your story. How did we get here? And really debunk all these HR myths. And I hope by the end of this podcast, people will look at HR in a different way, whether you're an employee, whether you're an HR director, whatever the case might be if you're a CEO. So that's what we're trying to do today. But before we get into everything, Benjamin, why don't you give all of us a little bit of background about yourself and we'll take it from there.
Perfect. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm super blessed to be here. And also, I really appreciate that we can talk about this topic because in our first conversation, I realized, okay, you're also an HR person, also not being in the HR field, but you value this topic. And therefore, if we are now having the opportunity to discuss about that, because honestly speaking, there are more things what you can make wrong in the HR field instead of making it right. And therefore, everybody needs to have an expert and at least a sparringspartner to discuss about. And coming to the point where I'm coming from, I was not in HR in the early beginning. So I was studying industrial engineering and economics.
Oh,
so
okay.
Therefore,
Okay.
I'm not from a people function, so to say.
Okay.
But over the time, I realized that I would like to develop myself into a people function. And I made a classical career. I was starting in consulting. Then I was with an e-commerce company as an HR business partner. And then I had my first HR director role as a group director of a VW startup back in Germany. And it was an intense ride, honestly, because we grew the organization from 50 people to over 200, developed the company from one company to 5 companies, or better to say 5 subsidiaries in 5 different countries. And yeah, then after that, I had another director role in an early stage hypergrowth company. That was an intense ride, honestly. I have still good memories regarding this because we hired over 500 people in less than a year.
Wow.
That was insane because maintaining your workforce, doing all the operation around, hiring people roughly 50 to 60 a month. That was insane, and also on a administration side, it's pretty clear what you need to do, but how to maintain also culture, empowering performance culture, maintaining leadership culture, and because most of the people I met during this time, they thought that they are good leaders. But maybe we can talk about that more in detail afterwards, what means that you are being a good leader, because just saying, hey, I'm a good leader, is not that you are representing a good leader. And yeah, after this experience, I decided for myself that I would like to become self-employed. Why? Because I realized that a lot of companies out there having the same struggles of how to set up a proper HR landscape, how to maintain their culture, and also how to retain their talents. Because most companies, they think that they can throw money at the people and say, okay, you get a salary increase, now be happy, be motivated, and move on. But this is something what is not sustainable for the future, because most people are thinking at a certain time, money is good, but I'm striving for the higher purpose. What is my why? Why I'm doing this? What is something what I would like to be seen in the future? And this is something what needs to be aligned with the organization. And yeah, therefore, nowadays I have my own company called Scaliify. Scaliify because we are supporting organizations to scale, to grow, and grow healthy. And therefore, we are basically in the field of administration, retention, satisfaction, interims management, and supporting organizations with their digital transformation. Because in the beginning you said also what is the main purpose of us. We say we would like to empower HR departments by having the right HR setup, and therefore technology is key. You need to facilitate the processes as streamlined as possible, because you would like to make the easy things right and easy, and take care of the difficult things between people. Because honestly speaking, administration, making a contract, making payroll, and everything like that, what is mandatory on the HR side, it's not rocket science. You just have to get the things right. There's not a good or a smooth way. It's more like you have to execute it, you have to get it done, and you are done with that. And at the end, you need to take care of your people in your organization. You have to give them time, you have to give them purpose, you have to give them tasks, you have to give them motivation and a future in your organization. And this is demanding. It is not demanding to say, hey, my payroll is right, or something like that. This is the main purpose for what we are doing.
Yeah. So first of all, thanks for giving us that context. It's interesting how you didn't start in HR and somehow, ended up in it. But now I think you've been in it for a long time. So you really understand. I think one of your strengths is understanding the technical aspect and how to set things up. I know over the last 3 years, you guys have set up, I think, over 40 softwares across, agencies. That's you were telling me from your call. But I wanted to start at the beginning, something you said at the beginning there, Benjamin, which is where we have to start when it comes to HR. Culture. Now, you said one of the posts you guys put on LinkedIn was your company's greatest competitive advantage isn't your products or service, it's your people. And there's this famous saying that we've probably heard a million times, and you've probably heard it in HR: culture eats strategy for breakfast. Now, when it comes to culture is an interesting thing because it's something that is It's not something tangible, really. It's more of a, as we would put it in now terms, a vibe. I had someone on the podcast the other day, and he was talking about the importance of culture and how if you have the right culture, it can negate a lot of conflict, a lot of, difficulties that you might have between teams. People will seem more valued. And if there's a certain culture, there's this like invisible hand, or I wouldn't even say control, that is like, I shouldn't do this because I know everyone else would disapprove because not other people will not do this. So it sets your, I guess, direction, your guideline of this, how you want to behave, act, respect each other, work together. So I wanted to start here first. Let's say I came to you like, Benjamin, okay, I am launching a new company now, and I want to start thinking about my company culture. And especially, I want it to be relevant to 2025 needs. Where do I start? What are the questions or things I need to be thinking about to get that process going?
Really good question, and a huge topic for a lot of founders and early stage founders. First of all, I would say in the first instance, you as a founder and the founding team, you are creating the culture, your habits, your way, how you would like to deal with the organization. But at a certain time, soon you are adding more people to the tribe, you have to define what is the culture, what you would like to promote. Because in the first instance, you as a founder are responsible for that. But at a certain stage, with 5 to 10 employees, you are not the only person who is responsible for culture anymore. And therefore, this is a shared responsibility for everybody in the organization. And how to tackle this? I personally would always suggest create values for your organization, because the values are always the glue what brings you all together. And therefore, I would not recommend to go with the generic values like, hey, we are accountable, we are responsible, we are dedicated to our products, we are dedicated
We're
to
a family.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. Honestly, we are a family. This is one of the most common values what I've seen with a lot of companies. And my co-founder Sarah, she's always when she sees that somebody's expressing that we are a family, she already sees how allergic I get when somebody is expressing this. Because company is not a family. A company you can choose, a family you cannot. And also when you're doing a bad job, you're not dismissed of your family because it always remains with your family. But in a business context, I have to say I like the analogy of sports team. We are one team. Everybody has his role, and everybody has his or her contribution to the success of the team. There's a trainer, there's the man in the front, there's a goalkeeper, and you have your role in this team. And if you're not good in this position, maybe you're better in another position. If you're not good in the goalkeeping, maybe you have to go into the middle field. Maybe you're doing a better job over there. If you're also not good in that, maybe you're not the right person for this team anymore. And also defining the analogy of the management and the leadership seen as the coach of the team. For sure, you can go on the field and try to make the goal by yourself. Maybe there are other people who are doing that better, but your role is it to set everybody in this position where they are bringing the most success for the team itself. And that not means that you are running on the field, shooting the goal and celebrating yourself. Celebrate when everybody on the field is successful and you created a well-performing team. That is your role. And this is something what you need to keep in mind as a leader, and also knowing that most leaders, they would like to celebrate themselves by shooting the goal, and this is not your role. But back to the values, I personally would identify what differentiates you from other companies out there. What is the maximum determinator by saying, okay, this is relevant for us, this makes us unique. And define maximum 5 values. 5 values what are stick to your head, what pops to your mind, even when I wake you up at 3 a.m. in the night and say, hey, Khalid, give me our company values. This needs to come out like out of pistol, because otherwise it's not in your brain. And make it visible in your office space. Make it visible on your presentations and so on, that everybody rely on that, what is the glue in the organization. And this is super hard. This is not easy, and this is not something where you say, okay, today I have a meeting for an hour, I sit down for an hour and I'm creating values. It needs to be on a dedicated path. Also involve other people of your organization, not only you as a leader, also have culture ambassadors in your organization where you say, okay, you're an early member of our team, please support me with that. And get certain questions, answers like, as I said, what makes us unique, what we are standing for, what is a no-go, what we are not accepting, what is our value proposition, what we would like to promote internally and externally. I also say always internal first, because if you're creating a culture internally, what is achievable and also created as unique space, your employees will transport this to your clients. So therefore, this is also something what I would say, invest into your own internal staff, because your staff member will value this and represent this towards your customers. And therefore, I would say people first, focus on your man and woman in your organization, and then they will bring it out to your customers and make them successful. Because one other analogy, what I would like to say is, if you have the most amazing product in the world, happy for you, really good, but it won't bring you further if you don't have the right people in your organization, because time will change. Your competitors will run after you. But if you're having the right people in your organization, they can turn a shitty product into an amazing product. But if you're having an amazing product with the not reliable people, you will be stuck with a good product, but over the time you will lose. You will lose your participation in the market, you will lose your trajectory. So therefore, always people first, invest into the people. And I'm pretty sure that you also have seen the quote on websites like LinkedIn and so on. There's always the conversation between the CEO and the CFO, where the CEO says, hey, we have to invest in our people. The CFO would say, no, we don't have money for this. And then the CEO says, okay, but then the people are leaving. Okay, but then the question is also, if you don't invest them and they stay, what happens then with the organization? So therefore, in this case, this conversation is basically a lose-lose situation, because when they stay and you don't invest in them, or they leave when you're investing money in them, so therefore, make it sure that you're investing in your people. Your people are always your most valuable good in your organization. Doesn't matter if you're a software company, producing company, whatever, doesn't matter. Your people are the most relevant part of your success in your organization. And this is something what you need to keep in mind. It's not what you're giving to your end customer. It's your people in your organization. And this is something what most of the organizations don't see, don't realize, and also don't think it's true. But I've seen so many organizations, and in every organization, I have to say, at the end, you can bring it back to dedicated and successful people in your organization if the company also becomes successful.
When you're talking about the values there, I think one thing that might be helpful for the audience is to understand from your experience, because I know you've worked with lots of different companies, so I'm sure you've had this value conversation many, many times. Could you give us an example of a company that had really great values that you're like, wow, these are really good values that that resonate, and I think would be not only relevant to now and the long term. And also, when you walk into companies, and if there's any, like, what are the red flags, for example? Like when you walk into a company, you start working with a company for HR, and what are the indicators that show the culture here is terrible?
Yeah, Good question. I would like to point out one company, honestly, not because of the values, but because of the way how they build it. And this company is Airbnb.
Okay.
Because there's a quote, what is written is when the founder of Airbnb and Peter Thiel, one of the first or early stage investors, got into Airbnb. Brian, the CEO of Airbnb, was asking, okay, you're giving us, I don't know, was 10 million or something like that. And Brian was asking Peter Thiel, give me one advice what I should do with this 10 million. And Peter Thiel was saying, I don't care what you're doing with the 10 million, but don't fuck up the culture. That was the one quote what he was giving to him. Because Peter Thiel already realized with a lot of companies what he was founding and where he was investing, that culture is the most important part of being successful or not. And therefore, he trusted him that he can do the business, because the business idea was great. And actually, everybody of us knows Airbnb right now, and it is a huge opportunity for the travel and the accommodation market. But he said, the business, you're good, but what makes you not successful would be if you fuck up the culture. And therefore, it was insane to see that somebody like Peter Thiel, who's super experienced in the field, value the culture much more than the business model, figures, whatever. Because obviously he did it because he also wanted to make money out of this. But he realized, okay, this is the most important part of a successful or unsuccessful company. And therefore, Airbnb and the way how they incubated the company is one of the role models what I've seen. Apart from that, I would say the thing what is a red flag for me is honestly trust.
Trust.
I've seen a lot of supervisors and leaders who believe that they know how to execute and how to do things. And I really value every opinion, and every opinion counts. But don't get an expert in your organization if you don't trust this expert to execute their job. Honestly, I'm an HR expert. You're a podcast expert. If I would hire you and would tell you, hey, Khalid, let's do this podcast like this. We're not talking about exchanging ideas, but talking about, I would like to have the setup like this. I would like to have this audience like this. So you're the expert. So therefore, I trust you by default that you can do your job. So mine. If you are asking me an HR question, I'm giving you my opinion and my expertise. Either you have the same expertise or you have a different opinion, but everything counts. When it now comes to the company relationship, you always have a manager and an employee relationship. The employee has the specific and dedicated knowledge of a certain field. Could be marketing, how to run marketing channels, how to run Google, whatever. But you're the lead. You have maybe also realized certain experiences. But don't tell your staff how to do things if they have experience. I'm not talking about juniors who have recently started in their organizations, but have the trust that your staff, your team members can execute the job as their best. Because by default, people want to be successful. People want to contribute to the successful environment. So therefore, they have a good intention. Sometimes a good intention doesn't turn out with a good result.
True.
But this is a learning. And this is, again, something what, for example, Ed Sheeran said recently. You learn nothing from success. You just learn it from the failure. So therefore, let your people fail sometimes. And then they learn from it, because then they are much better in it. But if you micromanage, or what I even say, I also had in the past nano managers, because they went down to
even more.
Yeah, even more. It was insane, honestly. But this is something what is the absolutely killer of your organization. It's the absolutely killer of the culture. Because why? When your organization grows, you have maybe 40, 50, 100 employees. How many people do you would like to nano or micromanage? Because it's super demanding on the leadership side. So therefore, get your leadership sorted. What are your leadership values? We can talk about that as well. What are my leadership values? But get this sorted, manage the people, not manage the task, what they are executing, because you will lose it. You will lose this game because also your day just have 24 hours. And if you would like to manage 40, 50 people, good luck with that.
Yeah, very true.
So therefore, trust, reliability, and the default mode is that you believe that your people are on their best behavior. And if you realize, okay, it's not working out, this is a totally different game. But by default, you start with that.
Yeah, the trust. I'm so happy you brought up trust, because this is what I was thinking when I was listening to you, Benjamin. It blows my mind how people why micromanagement exists. Let me explain why. So if let's say I'm applying to your company, right? You have hired me. Why would you hire me even in the first place if you didn't trust not only that I would fit the culture, but that I could perform my job? So why do you trust me when you hire me? But then when I get in the company, it kind of feels like you don't trust me anymore. And this kind of touches on there's a lot of people talk about this, the one bad apple thing. Does one bad apple ruin the culture? What would you say? From my perspective, because I've listened to many podcasts, spoken to many people about this, if there's a bad apple, because in the next near future, I'm looking to expand my business as well. So these are questions. These kind of conversations are very important for me to know. When it comes to bad apple, I think I can be a very empathetic person. But if you're acting like an asshole, I have zero time. You will be, at least I think I'll be ruthless from that perspective. I don't know. Maybe when I'm actually in a situation, things might be different. But what's your perspective on the one bad apple debate that people talk about?
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, this is actually also part of my leadership trainings, exactly this question to leaders. Let me bring this bad apple opportunity into a tangible sample.
Sure.
You have 2 employees, but you have to get rid of one of them. But you have 2 choices. Either the choice, you're taking the person who's super dedicated to the company, but has a super huge failure rate. This person is sending out 100 letters, but just 10 of them are correct. Then you have a second person, totally moody person, totally undedicated, is not representing the culture, but the person is sending out 10 letters and 10 letters are correct. So under the line, they are executing the same stuff and they are having the same rate of productivity, 10 and 10. Now you have to fire one person. Whom would you get rid of? Is it the person who's totally dedicated, who's making a lot of mistakes, sending out 100 letters, 10 are correct, or you are going with this person who is exactly executing what you are expecting from this person, but is not contributing to the culture? I personally have already a suggestion what you would say, but most of the people would say person A needs to stay, person B needs to go. What would you say?
I would in that example, I would agree. I think the challenge, or when you really have a decision to make, is when person A is super dedicated, high failure rate, but person B is like an asshole, but they're killing it. When I think the challenge becomes when the performance is not the same. That's when you have to have a real conversation with yourself about, what do I do? Should I do it now? Should I do it later? Is this something that I have to deal with? I think when it's apple to apple, it's very simple. People always will want to work with people that they like and contribute to the culture. You want to have an environment that people want to come into. I've worked in companies that had a great environment. I've worked in companies that had dog shit environments. So I've tasted it all. I always, enjoyed, even if the performance wasn't the place I worked was just a much more enjoyable experience.
Yeah, totally understandable. But the problem is, what I've seen with leaders is that what is kind of intuitive for us right now when we're talking about this, that in reality they are having a hard decision with that. Because the person B, he or she is not doing well with the company culture, but the person is doing their job. The person is exactly executing what they are supposed to do. So therefore, me as a leader, I have not to do anything with this person. The person is doing whatever they are supposed to do. With the other person, there I need to invest my time. I have to get involved because there's a potential that the person can grow. Because honestly, if the failure rate could be reduced, the person can produce a much better outcome. Could be 20, could be 30 letters what are correctly sent to the customers, basically. But this is not happening by itself. It needs to be involvement, development. It's time demanding at a certain time. And therefore, most people, what I've seen, are taking the shortcut. Because there's one person what is demanding from me, another person where I totally don't need to get involved. And therefore, in this case, in our theoretically case now, it's easy. But in the practical side, you don't see basically maybe sometimes the bad apple. Maybe the bad apple had also a glory side, and this glory side is facing to you. So therefore, identifying the bad side of the apple is rather hard. And what I also would like to mention regarding this is we all have been in environments where a bad apple is in the organization. But it's not about the bad apple. It's more about the leader who's accepting that the bad apple is acting like he or she is doing. So therefore, we always had it, that there is a person who is not contributing to the culture, is behaving like an asshole, and so on. We all realizing this. But you as a leader have to realize this and taking action out of this. Could be first verbal warning, could be a written warning afterwards, and has taken serious action into place. I was working a lot of time in Germany, basically, and it's rather hard to get rid of employees. So therefore, because there are just 3 opportunities that you can get rid of somebody, it could be economical reasons for the company, could be performance related, or a serious incident. Performance reasons not gonna happen because you have to track this for 2 years. So therefore you have to, it's insane. You have to track that a person is performing 70% under the average of somebody who's doing the same job, and that you have to track for 2 years. So not gonna happen that you can fire anybody due to performance reasons. Not gonna work out.
Damn, that's a disaster, no?
It is totally. Because also this is structured in a work contract in Germany rather difficult, because you're signed up for a job, but it's not written that you have to do this job correct, right, performing well. You signed up that you're performing a job and you're getting rewarded or paid for it. But regarding the conditions, what we on a performance culture are starving for, it's not part of the contract.
What?
Yeah.
But I'm sure you know because you've done this. But in my mind, that's not. I'm thinking like that's not common sense. What if this guy is shit and I have to track him now? I have to keep him for 2 years, and what could that do to the business? How could that affect the culture, the team? So that's a big surprise to me. I'm very, very surprised, you know?
It is. So during probation period, like here in the UAE, you can fire somebody without any reason. That's clear. But after 6 months of probation period, the person is kind of safe. And this is the law in Germany, so therefore you always find a way. This is also part of my responsibility as an HR director, finding ways, because I have to secure the performance of the organization. I have to secure the performance of the people, because as you said, if I as a leader accept the poor performance of one of the bad apples, this is influencing the people around you. And it is not because of the bad apple. It's again about the leaders who are accepting that bad performance and bad contribution to the culture is accepted. And this is key on that.
I was thinking as you were speaking, Benjamin, I'm like, why? Because I still don't understand. We've had like what has been already very clear in the conversation is people first. HR is all about people. And it's not a secret, you know, like there's been books, case studies, whatever. It's all there, right? So the question I start to think about is I'm like, okay, why is it still not seen in the right way? There's still a disconnect somewhere. And when I was listening to you, I was thinking, I'm like, I think this is it. I'm curious to get your perspective. We live nowadays in 2025 in a very short-term performance-based environment. HR is a long-term thing. To see the true impact of HR is not about when you hire that first 1 to 5 people. It's how does a company look when you're at 50? And I think that is where I think there's a disconnect there because people are like, oh, I don't need HR now. We're only a couple of people. We'll use an Excel. I'll be fine, you know. But then, as you know, as it scales and grows, maintaining that culture, growing the company that's when the true value of HR really comes in. But you need to set it from the foundation to scale into that. So I think that, from my opinion, I think that's where the disconnect is because performance is, I need this done. I need this result now. But HR is like, I'll give you that result, but in a longer term time.
100%. And exactly as you were explaining, these are a lot of struggles what companies are having because the problems are coming together at the same time. First of all, as you said, you're founding an organization, you are not hiring an experienced HR person, what costs you hundreds of dirhams because you're investing in something else. Could be marketing, could be your clients, whatever. But you're not investing in HR. That is the first point. The second point is HR don't give you revenue immediately because
exactly.
It's a cost factor. So therefore, it's like all the somehow support or service functions in the organization, like controlling. Get your numbers clear. So therefore, don't get just an easy Excel spreadsheet if you're not experienced in finance. But these are the points. These services, you need an expert from the early instance. And therefore, this is also one of the reasons why we are promoting Scaliify, because we are supporting organizations in the early beginnings to set up their structure. And they don't have to hire us. They pay us on an hourly rate. They can gain from our experiences and not making the mistakes what you are maybe doing without having the right knowledge in place. And again, to your point, so HR, not a priority in the beginning. You're not investing into this field. You're making decisions what you are thinking are right, but you don't know because you don't have the experience in that. And you are creating an organization around the people you currently have. That is a really, really important thing.
That's a great point.
Because it could be right, but it could be also wrong. So therefore, you need to see the North Star, where you would like to go, what is your vision, what you would like to create. Because if you have, I don't know, maybe the intern is doing a great job, and you say, okay, I would like to give you a certain opportunity in our organization. And therefore, you are promoting the intern into a role. Then the organization grows from 5 people to 50 people. Now the intern is, out of a sudden, the leader of everything. Well, good job for the intern. But do you think that the person is having the experience, the knowledge, the seen experience in other companies? No. And therefore, you sometimes create organizations around people, and this is the problem. Don't get me wrong, I still say people first. But I also say get the mix out of what are the experiences, what are the capabilities of the people, and set them into the right place in the organization. Again, when we see the analogy of the sports team, let's take football, because most of the people can relate to football. You know that you're starting in, I don't know, is it E or F or something like that? So junior, you're going up to Z, B, A, and then you're going maybe in the professional field. So therefore, it's really good when sometimes a junior is playing also in a higher league, because they can learn from the people around them. But it's highly unlikely that somebody from the F juniors is immediately jumping into the A level and become the captain of the team. And sometimes startups are doing this because, hey, come on, this guy is a friend of the founder, he got promoted, and so on. So therefore, personal relationships are sometimes more valued than the actual capabilities. And this is the make or break situation for you as a startup founder. If you are creating a company with the right North Star, with the right organizational structure, and setting the right people into the right field, or if personal perception and personal relationships are focused where you're setting the people. And therefore, I say, value the people, develop the people, set them at the right place where they are maximally contribute to the success of the organization. And this is something what you have to do totally unemotionally. I personally, when I started my career in HR, I was a really emotional person. And over the years, I learned that I have to cut out emotions with decisions. Because in the past, I had to fire a lot of people. I had to hire a lot of people. But I'm doing this totally emotionless. That doesn't mean that I'm not empathic. Empathy is one of the most valuable goods what we as a human being can have. But it is mandatory that we are transporting the information with the right sense that the people can understand. And therefore, I believe get somebody on board as early as possible who has done this, giving you the right advice, trust the person, because trust is the most needed glue in every work relationship, and executing this at its best.
Yeah, I think you made an excellent point there about balancing the emotion with, the decision making. Of course, especially if you, let's say you built this company like with your friends, and you guys are now in a certain stage, but now the company's at a stage that maybe this friend can't deliver on that. What do you do then? How do you make these tough decisions? How do you compensate for that? So I think the emotional aspect is something maybe that's not talked about enough, especially for you, as you put it, the early stage founders, because the other great point you made is, let's say we're 5 people, we're building the culture around us 5, but does that culture work when we're 50 or 100 people? Or what are the things that, okay, yeah, it's cool for us, but other people might not like or might not be accustomed to? So I wanted to come on now to HR here in the UAE. And I'm going to apologize here to people, because if you do have good HR, I don't know where you are, but I have not once, and maybe I just haven't spoken to the right person, so maybe that's the case. But I have not spoken to one person here that has said, I love my HR. My HR is good. They really invest in our team, develop, whatever. I don't know if this is a problem just here. I can only speak on what I know because I live here, so this is what I hear from people. But HR here is purely seen as admin. When is my leave? When do I get paid? When's that? Whatever. That's it. It's just, and that admin work is stuff that AI can do now without anyone. And I spoke to someone on the podcast, and she mentioned to me that the value of HR in any organization will only rise to the level of its importance that the leadership, to your point earlier, places on it. If they look at HR as just this random function to do all this admin work, yeah, that's all it's ever going to be. But if they see HR as a strategic pillar of the business, then there's a lot more you can do. That's why there's HRBP, that's why there's talent development. There's so many also verticals within HR that you can go into. So I guess my question is, I don't know what needs to change. Let's just talk about here as an example, because since we are here, do we have to change the mindset of the leadership, or is it the mindset of HR professionals that are not looking at it in the right way. From your experience, now you've been here a couple of years working with a lot of companies here. What have you seen to be, I guess, the biggest disconnect that people have in the way they view HR, and how have you helped them overcome it and look at it in a different way?
Yeah. First of all, as you said, you haven't seen any company over here who's a really good HR department. This is a worldwide problem, honestly. I would say there's a rare amount of companies where they would say, okay, this dedicated department is doing a great job and we are super happy with them. Because basically HR gets on the board when everything is going down the road. So therefore, this is part of the game, honestly. But there are different HR teams, teams who are seeing themselves at pure administration, payroll, and sending requests to the employees by please deliver this certificate and so on, pure administrational stuff. And there I also would say then it's justified to call this department HR, because HR represents human resources. So I personally don't see human beings at resources. We are not a manufacturing company where we are using steel or whatever. Okay, we need more steel. Please come in. Human resources. We need more human. Please, some human capital come in.
Yeah.
So this is the way where also the people and culture function developed. Me personally, I would like to see this department as people department. This is something what I believe. Also not people and culture anymore. This is also one of the mistakes what I realized in the past. One of my titles was also in the past people and culture director. But we are not the fun department. We are not responsible for doing the team events, for the culture. We are every single part of the organization is culture, and therefore we are all contributing. I clearly understand that the people function is responsible for maintaining and facilitating the culture, but the creation of the culture is done by the management and by every single member of the organization. And therefore, finding the right path into the culture is one way, but there's no dedicated culture department. That is one part. The next part to answer your question is HR, or people better to say, is not seen as a decision maker in the important company decisions. So therefore, people is not part of the table where the decisions are made. We've seen a lot of companies, especially in the UAE, where the people function is not part of the leadership. The people function is not part of the shaping of the company future. And therefore, only the leaders who are, so to say, are the business drivers are making the most important decisions in the organization. And sometimes there's a leader who's more engaged to the people and sometimes not. Especially people who are purely focused on the numbers, performance, deliverables. The person is not performing out. And therefore, especially in the UAE, where the labor law and the restrictions are lower compared to other, especially European countries, human capital is easy to exchange. So therefore, you're not performing, you're out. I find somebody else. And especially due to the offer of potential candidates and potential human capital in the UAE, you can easily find new people for your organization. But, and this is the big point where I would say, please have a clear people strategy. Because for sure, you can always hire new people. You can always onboard more people. And due to the reason that we don't have a minimal wage over here in the UAE, you can easily hire every time new people and putting more human time and capital on a certain task. But you come at the point where knowledge is key. And this is something what I've seen over here. I'll give you a sample in a sec. Knowledge is key to be successful. And also the development. Because if you're sharing your knowledge, You would like to have the expertise as long as possible in your organization. I would like to give you a sample out of my personal experience. It's not work related, it's from my private life.
Sure.
When I came to the UAE, we had a pretty new apartment, super happy there, and there was a slot for our dishwasher. And I wanted to get it done, so therefore I ordered a carpenter to build the dishwasher into my empty spot there. I asked him, have you ever installed a dishwasher? And they said, yes. So, okay, I trust them because this is my default mode. I trust people. If you're telling me something, you're capable of something, I trust you. And in the first meeting, there were, I guess, 2 carpenters coming. And every hour I looked how far they are by building in the dishwasher. Long story short, after 4 hours, it was not done. It was not aligned. It looked shitty. It was not working. And then they said, okay, we're not finishing this today. We're coming 2 days later again. Next time, it was not 2 people. It was 4 people. 4 people coming. Okay, I said, okay, now you doubled the size of people who are coming. And now I believe, okay, now you will make it. After another 4 hours of 4 people working on this task, they told me, okay, now we are ready. I said, okay, now I do the quality check. And the only purpose of a dishwasher is that you can open the door, slide out the rack to put in the dishes. The door stopped in the middle because the door was not properly opening. But these 4 people told me they are done. I said, okay, clearly it's not working. So therefore, this is not what I expected, what you're delivering. But yeah, this is what we can do. Long story short, I finished it and said, okay, I do it by myself. Because a week later, my father came and he was trying to align this. He was one person with the right experience. He got it done in roughly an hour. What I would like to tell you with that, for sure, sometimes human power is helpful. If you would like to build a building, it's not with technology. Sometimes technology helps with that, but sometimes you need human power for this. And there are a lot of tasks where human power is needed. But sometimes don't work hard, work smart is much more sufficient and efficient from this perspective. Because I don't blame on these 4 people. They just didn't know how to execute the job. They learned it. Maybe now they are better with that. I'm happy for them. But in this case, the experience was beating the human power what they can. And this is something what I would like to give away to a lot of people. Sometimes it makes much more sense to have a people strategy in place, know what your people are capable of and what they are not capable of, getting somebody who's the right experience to share this knowledge into your organization and maintain your workforce with that. Because I've made a lot of analysis, for example, in the past, for example, with the salesperson. Give me a more tangible sample on that. If a salesperson in Germany asks you for a salary raise of 40,000 dirhams a year, and you are saying as a manager, no, you don't get it. The person is leaving. Then maybe there's a notice period of a month or something like that. You don't find a successor for that. And if you're now thinking about what is the adding costs for the clients the person was dealing with are not maintained. You have to hire a new person. You have to maybe pay a headhunter for that. In Germany, you roughly pay 25 to 30% of the first annual salary for a headhunter. So therefore, it could easily end up to 100 to 150,000 dirhams for the headhunter fee. You have to do the onboarding and you have to share the knowledge. If you're making the calculation of all these factors, a new hire in the knowledge work field could end up with easily 200 to 300,000 dirhams. And you denied the salary increase of 40,000 dirhams. Think about it. think about it. From an economical perspective, it doesn't make sense at all if you're factoring in all your opportunity costs if something happens. So therefore, I'm not telling you that you blindly have to say yes to every salary request.
Of course. Yeah, of course not.
But think about it before you're denying salary increase, development requests. I was talking to one of my clients recently in Germany, and there was a management decision that they are not giving a training to one of their staff a value of 1,500 euros because, I don't know, there was not a reasonable explanation. But due to this point, they were not able to get the payroll in-house. And so they are still paying roughly 10,000 euros a month to an external party because they are not bringing this capability in-house. And therefore I said, okay, sometimes I cannot help you.
Yeah. Sometimes when it's that clear as day and you still want to take that decision, okay, that's either you don't want to take my advice or we're not the right fit. But the point you made about more human capital isn't the answer necessarily. It's about the right, bringing in the right people, because that one guy, in using the dishwasher example that you said, your father made up for the 4 guys that came twice and 8 hours that were spent, and he probably did it in I don't know how long, but probably much less time.
Yeah, much less.
And the thing I think about, and the point you made about opportunity cost, I think this is the biggest one. people don't realize that if I let this person go, how long is it going to take to find another person? Do I have to pay them more? The headhunter, was my client going to leave? Are they going to be happy? What about and using the sales example, how many deals could that guy have brought in this now 2-3 month period where we're still looking for someone? And but as you correctly said at the end too, it's not always the case like that. Every situation is very contextual, but a lot of the times, I think if we look at that on the balance of play, people tend to go to that side without looking at the opportunity cost. Now, I wanted to come on to HR in different cultures and work culture as a whole, because, for example, you've worked in Germany, I've worked in Amsterdam, and now we've both worked here. So I've tasted both, right? I've seen what work life looks like there and what work life looks like here. Now, when I was there, I had what they call this thing that everyone talks about. I had work-life balance. I went in the morning, you leave, whatever. Sometimes, obviously, if there's specific deadlines for certain projects, you'll put in the extra hours, which is perfectly fine. But the culture was you leave work, you don't work. Next day, come in, you're here for 8 hours, you kill it, and go back. So I've experienced that freedom, and how much that actually does have a positive impact on not only how you work, on your relationship in the company, and every aspect that you probably think of, your personal life, all of that. Now, bringing it to here, from everyone I know, no matter what you're working in, the expectation here is you have to work 10 to 12 hours. Everyone comes to Dubai because they are very financially driven. There's a lot of opportunity here. There's amazing things you can do. And when I say this, I'm not saying don't work hard. I'm not saying don't put in the hours. But it should not be expected that I work 12 hours every single day all the time. That's not right. You could look at, and this is why I get so frustrated. It's not like I'm saying something that's magical. The data is there. The science is there. Why are you choosing to ignore it? And it creates this toxic work culture that you have in Dubai. And people complain, but it's also a brag. You'll come tell me, Khalid, oh man, I work 10 hours. Be like, yeah, man, me too. I work 12. It's a fucked up badge of honor that you wear, that you put in that extra hour. But what if you had that time just to yourself? Don't you think you could have, that extra hours you could have probably done that in an hour the next day? I'm just saying. So I think this is where different work cultures and different environments come into play. And I guess talking about here, because I get very frustrated because I know a lot of people that are going through this. I don't know what we need to do to change it. I don't even know where to start or how. So what's your take?
Yeah. I have, again, 2 takes on that. And it comes again to the one point what I already said. Trust is one thing. And the other part is clear target setting. These are the two main points what I would like to facilitate with that. Because coming back to your sample with the work-life balance, I use a different term nowadays. I would love to call it work-life integration.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah.
Because at the end, I don't care if you work 8 hours, 12 hours. I care about your performance. And therefore, I, as a manager or I, as a founder, I have to set clear targets. And therefore, if somebody is meeting my expectations or even exceeding my expectations, then I'm done.
Yep, do whatever you want. Yeah,
exactly. I don't care if you're laying at the beach in Bali, as long you're executing that what you're supposed to do. And this is a big difference from the perspective what I've seen not only here in the UAE, also in other companies or all over in the world. You hear it from companies like Tesla, Amazon, and so on, where they are saying, hey, you guys, you are coming back to the office. You have to be 4 days a week in the office. I know where it comes from, that they would like to see the people, they would like to facilitate that they are exchanging and so on. But they are forcing the people. And if you are forced, it's like if you are forced to go to the gym, you won't execute your exercises properly because I don't like it.
Get in and out, fuck this.
Yeah. But if you're doing this on a free will, you would execute it much, much better.
100%.
So therefore, don't force the people to go to the office. Make it as attractive as possible that the people want to go to the office. And then the people will be more satisfied and more happy to be there. For example, Spotify. I've seen a quote there where they are saying, we are not forcing our people to go back to the office because we're working with employees, not with kids. So therefore, set clear targets, set clear expectations, and then they can do whatever they want to, because they will know and understand if they have to come to the office by saying, okay, we're having a workshop, we're having a meeting, I would like to have a quiet place where I can work. So therefore, they will value to be in the office, but not force them. And again, regarding the target setting, if I follow the experience of work-life integration, everybody of us knows we have to do childcare, grocery shopping, laundry, doctor's appointments. When would you do that? Luckily in UAE, everything is open also Saturday and Sunday, so therefore it's much easier over here. But honestly speaking, in Europe, especially in Germany,
it's impossible.
It is. Doctors are not open on Saturday or Sunday. For sure, the shops are open on Saturday, but it should be a day where you can rest, relax, but then you have to go into the hustle of grocery shopping when everybody else is also doing grocery shopping. So therefore, you are always totally exhausted by squeezing everything in this one free day. And then on Saturday, you cannot do anything. Maybe you want to, but nothing is open. And therefore, work-life integration means you have a clear target, you have a clear setup for the day, for the week, for the month. And I give the authority to you that you can decide, is it the right point to go to a doctor's appointment? When everything is burning, you have a deadline and you have to deliver. And you decide, hey, I would like to go grocery shopping right now. It's your responsibility, but the likeliness that you will fuck it up is high.
Yeah.
So therefore, go when it's feasible for you to do. And giving more trust into deliverables of your stuff. And again, trust, clear target setting, this is the killer for micromanagement. And I love to have measurements in my organization what kills micromanagement, because micromanagement is again the toxic environment where people are believing that they know it better, and it comes again from trust, and that the people who are micromanagers are always thinking that they can do the things better than others do, and therefore it is just the extension of the arm that somebody is executing on behalf of the micromanager. And this is the death of every organization. And therefore, I believe over here, I'm not the biggest fan that still in the UAE is a big office culture. I have a good friend, he's also German, he's working for a big company here in the UAE, and he has to go every day to the office. I highly doubt that the people are working much better in the office, because the traffic in the UAE, if you are in traffic, most people are coming from Sharjah traffic, that, being stuck in traffic when you go, being stuck in traffic when you leave. I also heard from a couple of people that they are leaving their home at 4:30 because therefore they are avoiding the traffic. Man, it's not healthy that you are getting up at 3 a.m. to be at 8 or something in the office. This is destroying your mental health, your brain capacity. And this is also something what I realized when I was working in startups. Every week I was doing an all-nighter, meaning I was working 24 hours through. I was not paid for that. I was not appreciated for that. I wasn't valued for that. I did it for myself because I wanted to be successful and deliver what I promised. But honestly, I was mentally burned out and totally drained. I had rings. I still have some rings around my ears, so they don't go away. So therefore, this is the burden of my life. The scars, the battle scars. But it was not healthy. I was not participating in a private life. I was not having quality time with my wife. And don't get me wrong, I really work hard. I love to work, but we need to have also our higher purpose, especially when you are working as an employee for somebody else, because you are still working for somebody else. And this is also good. Most people really need this. My personal freedom came when I became self-employed, because now I'm also working 14, 15 hours a day, but I work for myself. And if I say, now it's enough, I go to the beach, I have the freedom to do that. And this is my part of my work-life integration. I have to deliver if I have to deliver to my clients, because my promises to my clients are the most valuables, what I need to do. But if I say, today I go to the water park, I do, and then I'm gone.
Yeah. On the point you mentioned, I think what I took away from that, Benjamin, is trust should be given, not earned. And like I'm gonna give. Let's say, look at look at trust like a big pot of money. In here, there's 100 coins. So when we start, you have full trust, and you will continue to have my full trust unless you decide or prove otherwise. So you're not performing, you're not delivering on your targets, all the things that we've discussed. But it seems, at least from what we've been having our conversation, like globally, it's flipped. You have to earn those coins of your trust, and then maybe I get all more freedom and flexibility. And coming on to the choice, when someone tells me to do something versus when I choose to do it, completely different emotion, feeling. That even the output is going to be probably a lot better when the autonomy of me deciding to do it. Now, you touched on the flexibility aspect and remote working and then the office. Okay, this one, a lot of these things, parts of this conversation today are very. It's weird because I have my own. I have my own business and I do my own thing, but I just see around what's happening and I hear what's going on and but it really bothers me. Because once upon a time, you could say you have to have people in the office. This is the only way a company grows. Build team, all this bullshit. Okay, fine. Once upon a time, fine. You could have said that. Then COVID happened. I'm sorry. There's no bigger case study. The whole world shut down. It wasn't a country, a region, a city. The whole fucking world shut down. Did business continue? Yes. What did everyone do? They worked from home and the business continued. Yes, obviously those things had to change, but that wasn't because they were working from home. That was because of the reality of the situation. So that's why now when people are like, yeah, we want people, if you want people in the office for a good reason, like you have to, for this specific reason, this is why I want it, we can have a debate about that. I still might not agree with you, but we can have a debate. But when you say, I just want people in the office because I want people in the office, which is a lot of people are like that, go fuck yourself, because it makes no sense. And the data is there, it's been proven. So I'm very, very against that whole lack of flexibility thing. And this kind of touches on, I feel one of the big challenges in HR nowadays is, because you touched on talent, and obviously this is a big, big part of it. You want to hire the right talent, the best talent, but you don't want to give them the flexibility, the career development, the opportunities, the mental health access. So you want to hire the best, but you don't want to give the things that the best are looking for, especially today in 2025, and you expect to have the best. So what are you doing? I don't know. I feel like in this conversation, I'm like, I've sometimes feel like, am I crazy in the things I'm saying? Is it more complicated than what I'm bringing across? Because it just seems, at least in my mind, it just seems so simple.
It is. And you're absolutely right. And you're tackling exactly the main problem of HR, that you're having a talent. You have somebody you want to have on board, but then you would like to tell the person what to do and how to do it. And this is something what sounds really simple to us. And I honestly have to say that I've seen a lot of two-faces in this case. When I've expressed this to leaders, also to experienced leaders, they would, in our conversation, they would 100% say, yeah, I totally believe you. You're totally right with that. But what they say and what they execute is totally different. Totally different. Then there comes a certain situation, and then I tell the person, okay, why are you now delegating this to me and expressing how to do that? Yeah, because this is the only way how it's right. But there are multiple other ways. And there it comes to a diversity discussion, actually, because we all have different backgrounds. We all have different roots. We all have different experiences. But if you are not hiring diverse, you won't get diversity of thoughts.
Exactly.
And this is the key, honestly, because I was working with a lot of white, privileged, mid-aged men, and they all have the same background. They went to school, they went to the same universities, and so on. And honestly, there is not coming any diversity into it, because it's coming out of the same pot. So therefore, if you're having a pot out of water and you're putting some water out of it, it's still water. So therefore, you have to mix different variations to have a different taste, a different flavor. And this is something what people don't understand, what they often deny. They say, we don't need diversity because I know what's right. And honestly speaking, I was the same in the past, and I had to learn what diversity really means. And diversity of thoughts is, from my perspective, key. For me, it doesn't matter where somebody is coming from, what kind of religion, white, not white, whatever. But it matters how differentiate and how diverse your thoughts, your ways of thinking are. And therefore, I strongly believe you and thousands of other people out there, they have different ways of thinking. And every way of thinking is valued and brings us a new perspective. And this is also perspective, the main point of realizing certain situations. Because managers only see it with their eyes. But you have to swap perspectives. You have to think about your employee, about your company. See your organizations from different eyes, and then you will see different perspectives. But most of the people cannot do this. And this is something what I'm always doing in my coachings and also when I'm talking to my clients. You're expressing something to me as a CEO right now. Yet now, sit down and step into the shoes of your staff, of your members, of your team members. How would they perceive that? What do you think about them? If you're telling them now, okay, you have to be in the office by 9 every single day, and you have to stay there till 6. Swap into your employee's perspective, see yourself expressing this to you. How do you perceive that? Do you think, oh yeah, it's a great idea? to be tied up into this time frame without any flexibility and any opportunity to step out of that. Are you happy with that? Or are you feel like, okay, I'm squeezed into a room without a window, no floating air, and so on. So therefore, this is something what you always have to consider if you are executing rules and ways of working together. And again, it is a thin edge where you're walking in. So therefore, what is right and what is bothering the people? And there's something like an experienced people person like you are as well, come into this case where you're bringing both realities together and finding the best suitable way. And also saying, honestly speaking, we have an ultimate weapon out there where we are saying, okay, if you are doing this, you will have a great culture, a great people function, and all your employees will be happy, and you will deliver the best products in the world. It's not existing, because every human person is different. You have different expectations to your employer than I have. Other people out there, they have different wills, different opportunities, what they want. So therefore, it's mandatory, as we said earlier today, when you have roughly 5 employees or 5 to 10, create values. The values are the glue to bring the people together. Have a clear company vision, where you would like to go with your organization. Value every piece, every team member in your team as a best, because then they are contributing to the vision you are having. And then create your own environment, because there's no role model where we can say, okay, we would like to do Airbnb 2.0. We would like to do Tesla 2.0, because your organization is different. Your organization contains out of different people. And therefore, also your product and your setup will be different. For sure, get an experienced people person on board who can maintain the way over there. But there's no blueprint where you can say, this is what we need to do. And that makes things what are not tangible so difficult.
Yeah, and you meant that last point is a great point of making the intangible stuff is what is the biggest frustration, I think, in the whole conversation that we've had today. It's very hard. You can measure these things with things like 360 feedback. You can get engagement reports. You can do like all these kind of things to have some idea of maybe a metric of what the company or the culture looks like and how happy people are. And this is where I wanted to kind of shift into the tech aspect, because the tech aspect, I know from what I've researched, is a very crucial part of the HR function. Now, a lot of the conversation we've had today is about the people aspect, which should be the emphasis should always be on figuring out the people aspect before we look at the tech. But at some point, as you begin to scale, you want to streamline processes, you're going to bring more people on board. That's where the tech is going to start to become something very important. So could you tell us, from your perspective, tell us about Scaliify, because I know this is something that you guys do very specifically. Tell us about what you guys do, and what is the significance of the tech aspect that fits into this whole HR conversation?
Yes. So, as we said earlier today, HR is not contributing directly to the revenue. So therefore, it's basically seen as a cost factor. And therefore, you would like to reduce your cost factor because you would like to maximize your revenues.
Sure.
So therefore, most of the time you don't have huge HR or people departments due to this reason. And from a human being perspective, we are focusing on things what we can easily execute. Means creating contracts, making administration, making payroll, and so on. And all the culture points we are somehow procrastinating because we don't have time for that. So therefore, your people function is busy with executing non-valuable stuff. Because if you're employed and you get your payroll and your payslip and so on, you never say, hey, great, this payslip is correct. Happy, thank you very much. And thank you very much for transmitting the salary on my correct bank account. Wow, great success. Not going to happen. But therefore, this needs to be done. But it's not seen, it's not valued. But most people functions are hiding behind these operational duties. And therefore, they're always saying, hey, we don't have time for the culture part. We cannot be involved in culture discussions. I don't have time to sit on the management board to discuss about future personal developments, salary bands, salary tasks, and so on and so on. So therefore, we would like to deny this excuse by saying everything around operations, administration, payroll, and digitalization in your HR. We take it away, put it into a proper working HR setup. So therefore, we set up your HR system, that you have your personal data in place. We set up payroll, that we are combining this via integrations to payroll providers. We are setting up feedback schemes and feedback softwares to maintain this as easy as possible. So therefore, currently we are having a couple of clients. They don't have an internal HR department because they say, Scaliify, you are running this, you have set up our HR technology, therefore you are the experts in this, and with that, they're securing that they don't need an in-house HR person for the administration, and we reduce the amount of time what we are spending with the administration around. In a comparison, we are giving back to the HR business partners, to the HR leaders, the time that they can take care of the valuable stuff, what we already mentioned. Trust the people, leadership development, feedback, motivation. I always say also waste disposal. Waste disposal means that you're taking away hurdles, conflicts, boundaries in your organization. And this is part of HR, people, and the leaders. And this is something what falls under the carpet or under the is under the carpet if you are busy with all the not valuable stuff for the people. And therefore, we are implementing HR softwares, setting up the processes around that. And if the client wants, we are also running the HR administration around. What is the reason why we are doing this in this case? We can also run culture initiatives. We support that. We are also implementing workshops for our clients to support them on the way. But you cannot maintain the culture in an organization by an external, because this is something what you need to do internally. And therefore, you can outsource all the processes, for sure. But if you would like to maintain it, you have to be surrounded by the people. And then also the people need to create a certain trust relationship to each other. As you said earlier, you have a can full of 100 coins. And if you would like to build a proper relationship, you need to have this between the people. So therefore, you cannot take out or put in the coins if you're not on a regular basis being connected to the people. And therefore, I always say with administration, we are good on our external side. We can facilitate how you maintain this internally, but it couldn't be run by an external agency.
Yeah, I'm so happy you mentioned that last point, because this is something when I was preparing the questions, I was thinking, because I know fractional HR services is something you guys offer too. And this fractional thing is something quite new. I think only in the last year I started hearing about it, that you outsource such high positions like head of HR, head of marketing, head of, whatever the case might be. Now, the point you made about if you want to outsource process, sure. People like you guys, like Scaliify, great resource, will take a lot of time off your hands so you can focus on the rest. But like you said, and what we've discussed in the whole part of the conversation, is to create the culture, you need someone, it can't be external. You need someone internal 100%. Because also externally, you only have so much visibility. You don't have visibility on the day-to-day, the interpersonal things. Yes, you can give the workshops, you can do all those things, but only someone there every day will understand what's going on, what needs to be improved, and how to move that forward. Now, I wanted to round off our conversation today, Benjamin, with just 3 more questions for you, but this is one that I think is very important to round off on, which is, the future of HR, in the sense of, as I've had lots of conversations on the podcast in every fucking industry you can think of and talks about AI. So yes, we are moving to a more automated world, whether we like it or not. Absolutely. So the next question is not about replacing jobs. That's not like, oh, will this replace my job? The question is, what are the skill sets and the mindset that future HR that future HR professionals need to be successful in this automated world? What would you say to that?
Good point. I would like to mention in this case that the same situation what we have right now, we already had it a couple of years ago. I don't know how it's called, Fordismus, during the industrialization, when a lot of machines came into the production environment, where everybody said, okay, we don't need the humans anymore, we have machines and they are doing the job. Big mistake. Really, really, really big mistake. Because now, currently, we're lacking of the knowledge and the experts, and a lot of companies are urgently searching for the right people with the right knowledge. I was sitting together with one of our clients, and they said they already have orders for the next 1.5 years, and they cannot deliver the products. And I asked, okay, why can you not deliver the products? Yeah, because we don't have the right knowledge. We have the machines, we have the material, but we don't have the human capital on board. So therefore, all of our deliverables are delayed. So therefore, mistake what was happened in the past. And now the same discussions are going on with AI. Is AI replacing all of our jobs? They will replace some jobs, but you and everybody of us, we have to find our new place in this new environment, dealing with the new opportunities given by AI. I honestly have to say I'm a big AI fan because it makes research, collecting of knowledge and research much, much easier. But what the AI won't do is executing. I know that there are also softwares out there and so what you can build. So, but if you would like to create a strategy, easily doable with AI, but the strategy needs to be executed. So therefore, we need leaders who are following leadership values and creating the right environment where the people can be productive and successful. This is something what AI cannot do. AI is a vehicle what can support you to be successful on the path. But therefore, certain jobs will change. And therefore, if you believe that you are infected by the change of AI, then it's your call to action right now to find your way, what makes you independent and also unique in this new setup. And this could be totally different for each of us. So therefore, recently I was talking to a friend, he's a copywriter, and he said, okay, most of the texts and lectures what are produced can be created with AI, much faster, much more easy. And therefore, I told him, yeah, for sure, this is now the reality. But in which direction will be the development of the jobs? How will be the company environment change? And what makes you as an individual independent, or better to say, depending on you, on your knowledge in this setup? And this is something what everybody of us needs to do. Because the easiest way is to lay back and say, AI was eating up my job, so therefore I'm unemployed right now and I have no perspective. If you're doing that, for sure, you will definitely go down this rabbit hole. But in such a situation where you have to assimilate with the new opportunities, you have to find a way what makes you unique and what is your value proposition to the market. Because you're not a victim of the development in the world. Because the world will spinning around, the world will develop. If you are seeing developments of China, for example, they are developing stuff tremendously fast. So therefore, you will never be able to stop this development. There will be currencies, technologies, AI models, whatever. Find your way. I don't have a solution for that because I cannot tell you what is, again, the ultimate weapon for all of us. But I personally will say AI is a big lever for us to be faster, successfully, and more dedicated to technology in the future. And therefore, also the way how technology development over the last couple of years was going on a scale, it was not a line. It was more like this. So therefore, I cannot say where it ends up, but find your way with technology. And this also matters for HR. Technology to get the mandatory stuff done, part one, execute properly, done by the humans, and align HR with your company's strategy, because only when you have a people strategy, your company will be successful.
I think I love how you combined all at the end, because like you said, it is about, I'm like AI'd out at this point, honestly, in the conversation, but it's where I find AI very interesting, or where I have the most debates internally in my head, is AI is coming into the human worlds. What do I mean by that? Things like sales, things like HR, things like even podcasting, stuff that is traditionally all about the human and the relationship and the connection and empathy and all these things that AI cannot do. So that's why when I like having these conversations in the arenas where it's very traditionally you need a lot of human input or ingenuity to bring it in. And I think, like you said, you kind of have to find a way to just figure out what works for you, what's the right system. But most importantly, what you said is the human executes the strategy, especially when it comes to HR, because you could do the whole process, but I need a Benjamin, a Khaled to be like, oh, he's having a tough time, we need to develop this guy, all these different things. Benjamin, I just have 2 more questions for you. These are questions I ask all my guests. So looking back either at your life, either personally or professionally, when I ask you the question, what are you most proud of for yourself? What would you say?
I would say taking risks.
Taking risks.
Yes, because honestly, we all feel comfortable in our comfort zone.
Yes, very true.
I've seen a lot of people who are super successful here in Dubai, all over the world. And if you're talking to these people and asking what made you successful, it is always taking a risk, because you won't, from me personally, be successful if you're always in the bubble, what you know, what you've seen, what you already experienced. But if you are stepping out of this, honestly, I could be still employed, living in Berlin, and doing my day-to-day job there. Maybe being dissatisfied, being struggling with life regarding this. Maybe. But my wife and I, we took a risk. We founded a company. We have one in Singapore, one in Dubai over here. We moved to Dubai. Even my wife and I, we are working together. We're working on projects together. And also mixing business life with private life is...
that must be interesting.
It is. She always said in the first month, oh God, what have I done? And she almost regret her decision that we're working together. Now, after 1.5 years, we found our way.
Yeah, it takes time.
Exactly. And now we are building a much better foundation, honestly, because we can spend time together. We can have lunch every day together. For sure, we have all our meetings, and sometimes we don't see each other during the day. But we are spending much more quality time together with the person you love, the person you would like to spend time with, apart from following a day-to-day job where you are spending 8 to 10 hours in the office and then being totally exhausted coming home, and then say, honey, I don't want to talk anymore. It was a stressful day in the office. let's put on Netflix and see what comes. And therefore, since we're here, we are much, much stronger together as business partners, obviously, but also as a couple. And this was only possible by taking a risk, because we came over here to Dubai and we said, okay, maybe not everybody knows, but in Dubai you have to pay your rent in advance with a check.
It's checks,
And we said, okay, we saved the money for 1 year rent. In worst case, we're not doing business. We paid the rent, and after a year we have to go. It turned out totally differently. We had a really successful year last year, and now we're happy how it went. But there was an opportunity, honestly, that it also turned out totally differently. But we would have never experienced that if we would not have taken a risk, and therefore this is one of my advices regarding this.
Yeah, and I think on the risk thing, I resonate with that a lot. I share that sentiment. I've learned, I think, your story is very similar, and you've probably experienced the same things as I did when you took that risk. And it's not about taking, I think, something that also needs to be discussed in the risk conversation, because everyone will say, like you said, like people say, take a risk, fine. But number one, let it be calculated. And number two, when I say take a risk, that doesn't mean I'm saying sell the house and go and it could be a small risk, but that risk is where your growth is, because even if it's a small step outside the comfort zone, if it's a consistency of small little risks and also have massive, impacts down the line too. So I really resonate with that. I think if you don't go outside, you won't grow. And it's better if you go out and fail, because you're like, oh, I didn't know this and that. We were just talking earlier off camera, about podcast guests have done over 180, and I'm still surprised and learning. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? So yeah, always push it out a little bit. And for my last question, Benjamin, what is the message you'd like everyone to take home with them today?
So, first of all, thank you very much for having me on the podcast. It was really, really interesting to talk to such an experienced person like you, and that we can align on these HR functionalities. My message, what I would like to give away to everybody is value every individual. Don't take your people around you for granted. Doesn't matter for personal or business life. And please always try to switch perspectives. With a perspective change, you can understand people better. You can understand how they feel, how they are perceived, and what matters to them. Because just because something matters to you, it doesn't mean that it also matters for everybody else. So therefore, don't take you personally as a role model, because we're all different. We all have different roots, and therefore it makes totally sense. Change perspective, identify with the people, and don't take people for granted.
Well, I really, really love that message, man. Don't take people for granted. This is a great reminder, because I think a lot of times, whether at work, personally, whatever, it's very easy for us to do that. So this is just a nice reminder and a beautiful last message, to end the podcast. That's been all about people anyway. So Benjamin, I wanted to say, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This has been a fantastic conversation, just from the networking thing we did, and then the Zoom call we had. So many debatable topics. People is an area clearly we're both very passionate about. I've, on a personal level, really learned a lot from you today, and I think anyone in HR, if you're fucking out there and you're doing this wrong, please listen to this episode or get in touch with Benjamin. Let them help you guys out. And remember, it's people first. Benjamin, if people want to reach out with you, work with you, where can they get in touch?
Yes, so you can find me on LinkedIn, Benjamin Böhmer, obviously. I can also share my Calendly link. You can set yourself in at my diary. So therefore, also my first consultation is always for free, because I would like to understand what are your needs, what are your challenges. And on www.scaliify with a .com, you find us on our website. And happy to connect, and much appreciated your time and also the platform what you're giving to me over here today.
No, you're very welcome, man. It's my pleasure as well. So guys, you heard it here. We'll put all of that in the show notes, so don't worry about that. Benjamin, thank you so much, man. This has been awesome. I really appreciate it. Guys, everyone listening, please make sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the podcast at Hope It Helps Pod on all channels. And as always, guys, hope it helps. Peace. Yeah.
Perfect.
Awesome, man.
Thank you very much.
And that's another episode in the bag, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, podcasting is like this massive jigsaw puzzle, and my job is to help you find that missing piece. So if you're someone who's looking to launch your own podcast or take their podcast to the next level, you can book a call today and let's get started. TikTok.